There's no reason for a downgrade. The current account position is improving. The debt situation is improving. The deficit reduction is, staggeringly ahead of schedule. So at this point in the day, there's no, fundamental reason for a downgrade. If anything, the America should be put on sort of positive watch, were it not for this, unbelievable insanity in Washington D.C. Well, I think that's probably some sort of deal in the pipeline that was being worked out, late into this evening as well, with the Senate. It looks like there is going to be a temporary extension. But the good news is that the deficit is falling at a rate that is blowing away everybody's expectations from even 12 months ago. So there's going to be more cuts in the defense budget. There's going to be more cuts in social spending. There's going to be some more tax increases. I think the number is going to get down significantly below, into the numbers that are like 700, 600 billion, something like that, fairly soon. And so the prospect is looking good. This is even moderate Republicans would agree that this is something of a hijacking of the Republican Party from the extreme right wing of the Republican Party. The Tea Party members, and this is basically 45 members of the Tea Party in the House and one person in the Senate, which is holding up a 535-person governing body. And a lot of people are calling that outright extortion. And, I think these people are going to pay for it in the next election. I think in the emerging markets have been given a bit of a breathing space because the dollar's been fairly weak through all this, and so you've had time for the emerging markets to have a little bit of bump up in their own currencies. But I think that we should expect further dollar strength. I think we should expect real interest rates to be going up, and I think, for instance, the problems in India are by no means over. I think India is going to have to deal with a big inflation problem in 2014, even though there has been benign numbers, recently, and also benign credit data. I think Brazil is by no means out of the woods. I think there's a lot of problems in Indonesia in the foreign currency clearing market right now, where there's a shortage of dollars. So I think several of these emerging markets are still not out of the woods. I think countries like Philippines and Malaysia are a lot better off. And I think China is getting its act together. And I think all emerging markets should watch what's going to happen in the plenum coming up in November, because China is planning some very daring and potentially revolutionary changes in the way that it's going to govern itself to try to clamp down on corruption. And I think a lot of the other emerging markets like Brazil and India should follow suit, because I think corruption's out of control everywhere. And this will be the death of emerging markets. Yeah, as I mentioned to you, I think Mexico, Malaysia, Philippines are looking attractive because they're very, very liquid. And I think a market like Greece, which has been thrown into the emerging market universe, becomes also attractive because it is a market which becomes a sort of a big fish in a small pond because it's been thrown into the emerging market universe and thrown out of the developed markets. I think Brazil is problematic, India is problematic, Indonesia is problematic, Thailand is sort of on the border. I think China is, a buying opportunity here, and I think Korea's had a nice run up, and I would, be taking profit.